Good afternoon. I have 12:01, so I'll go ahead and call the Commissioners' meeting of December 22nd to order. I would ask that everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, immediately following a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting is being recorded, and anything said in the meeting is part of public record. Since the last time the board met, we had one executive session, which was last Monday, the 13th. We sought legal counsel from our solicitor regarding several proposed programs and agreements. Correspondence, we received one letter from the state regarding an audit of our CDBG funds. It only came back with one weakness, and for the auditor types, that's not a material weakness, that's an OFI kind of recommendation. It was very simple. One of the job sites, we apparently didn't have an employment rights poster posted. So I think in the grand scheme of 3 years of CDBG funding, that's acceptable. And he commended our employee, Larry Dunlap, for her attention to detail and everything. So I thought that was worthy of bringing to the board.
Yeah, that's great.
And next we have a citation of excellence. For the past 34 years, Marcus Briggs has served with distinction throughout Warren County as a chaplain, first to the Warren County Rouse Home, Warren General Hospital, and most recently, the Warren County Jail. His heart for justice and mercy shows through his countless interactions with those he has counseled over the years. Through his position, he has demonstrated genuine kindness and sincere compassion to all in need. He has given of himself when asked, and for this he has raised the bar for future chaplains. Marcus was instrumental in starting the Relate program in the jail, along with implementing a newsletter called Bars and Stripes. He also started the backpack program and the Christmas program at the jail. These programs are dedicated to the inmates' children. They are given school supplies before school starts and Christmas gifts at Christmas. These children would probably go without if it weren't for these programs. Marcus also started a Sunday movie night for the inmates to watch faith-based films, and he also was very instrumental in finding and screening volunteers for many programs in the jail. Warden Collins commended him, saying Marcus is a great man who has had a tremendous positive influence on the inmates. Even through the COVID pandemic, Marcus has been available to those who needed him without hesitation. Therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Warren County, wish to thank and commend Marcus Briggs for his excellence and service to Warren County. Any comments? His daughter-in-law, correct? Lynn Schultz, since Marcus was unable to make it due to health reasons, is coming forth to receive our citation. Thank you so much for coming. Please wish him our best and Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
This time I'll ask if there's any public comment. Hearing none. See the agenda before you. Any corrections, additions, subtractions? Very good. Minutes from December 8th are in your packet. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, moving on to the finance report.
We have $4,193,488 in both the general fund and the savings account. I spoke with our auditor yesterday, and we're supposed to have financials today. The rescue funding has $3,647,859.88, and ERAP has $1,843,264.42. And they did just take a draw at the EOC for that. So we are working on paying bills for the end of the year and doing year-end closeout and reporting at the end of next week. So,
Very good.
any questions?
Great. All right. Hearing none, we have two proclamations on the agenda today. First is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And for that, I would ask Commissioner Durbin to read the proclamation.
Whereas across the country on January 9th, citizens take the lead to demonstrate support on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Whereas law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that puts their life on the line every day for their communities. They've answered a call to public service that is demanding and often unappreciated. On National Law Enforcement Day, we have an opportunity to thank them for their service and offer a token of respect. Whereas National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was founded in 2015 to thank officers across the country for all the daily sacrifices they make for their communities. Concerns of police survivors, the FBI National Academy Associates, the Fraternal Order of Police, the International Association Chief of Police, the Officer Dow Memorial Page, Law Enforcement United, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, International Conference of Police Chaplains, National Troopers Coalition only name a few of the long list of organizations supporting inaugural day of National Law Enforcement Officers Appreciation Day. Since then, nationwide, many more organizations have joined forces to support National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day to spread encouragement and respect to these dedicated men and women. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Warren, Pennsylvania declares January 9th, 2022 as National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in Warren County.
Sheriff, did you have anything you wanted to say? Okay.
I guess in short, we appreciate the appreciation. But no, other than that, I have a fine crew working for me. I'm excited, just having been elected and look forward to the future. Thank you.
Good.
That's great.
Thank you so much for coming to our
Thank
meeting.
you, yes, very much.
You don't have a proclamation signed or anything, no? Okay. We can do a picture later. Thank you. And finally, for proclamations, Christmas 2021. Commissioner Eggleston.
I hope you have a happy holiday season.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite proclamations. I almost feel like we should have like It's a Wonderful Life playing in the background while I read this, but let's see, Christmas 2021. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is Christ the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger. Luke 2:10-12. Whereas for 2,000 years, Christmas has proclaimed a message of hope, the patient hope of men and women across the centuries who listened to the words of prophets and lived in joyful expectation. The hope of Mary, who welcomed God's plan with great faith, and the hope of wise men who set out on a long journey guided only by a slender promise traced in the stars. Christmas reminds us that the grandest purpose of God can be found in the humblest places. And it gives us hope that all the love and gifts that come to us in this life are the signs and symbols of an even greater love and gift that come on a holy night. The Christmas season fills our hearts with gratitude for the many blessings in our lives. With those blessings comes a responsibility to reach out to others. Many of our fellow Americans still suffer from the effects of illness or poverty. Others fight cruel addictions, cope with division in their families, or grieve the loss of a loved one. Christmas time reminds each of us that we have a duty to love our neighbor just as we would like to be loved ourselves. By volunteering our time and talents where they are needed most, we help heal the sick, comfort those who suffer, and bring hope to those who despair. Each year, Christmas brings together families, friends, and communities to rejoice in the birth of Jesus Christ and celebrate the wonderful gifts God has bestowed upon us. We also keep in our thoughts and prayers the men and women of our armed forces, especially those far from home, separated from family and friends by the call of duty. These courageous Americans are fighting the enemies of freedom and protecting our country from danger. By bringing liberty to the oppressed, our troops are defending the freedom and security of us all. They and their families are making many sacrifices for our nation, and all Americans are deeply grateful. Adopted this 22nd day of December 2021.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
Bring on 2022.
Very good. Well, with that, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Made and seconded. Those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. There's no old business on the agenda. In terms of new business, first of all, the 2022 Warren County Children and Youth Services fee schedule. For that, I'll turn it over to Meredith Ketchum.
We yearly have to submit our fee schedule for services that we provide to the public for families that are not involved with our agency. All of the fees are based off of the hourly rate of the worker who would be involved in conducting the service, as well as some of the support of like the cost of photocopying and things like that. There's a slight increase because there was a slight increase in the rate of the caseworkers. So the subpoenas are $37 an hour. A home evaluation would be $370. Supervised visitation is $30.20 an hour, and then the adoptive home study is $2,950. There's also the possibility of having the service, the fee waived if the individual is court ordered and then comes to us and explains why they can't, but this is the standard rate for the services. We just need your approval, and then we will post it on our website, on the CYS page, on the main page, and then provide the fee schedule to the Bar Association president and to both judges and to the family, to Sean Estes, because some of these fees are things that they order.
Okay. Do you hear a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion to approve the 2022 Warren County Children and Youth Service fee schedule.
I'll second.
Motion made and properly seconded. Any discussion, further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, EMPG grant designee. This is for the hazard mitigation plan. Many programs, we have to sign a lot of paperwork. I think, probably daily we get something from planning and zoning, for instance. In order to streamline things related to the hazard mitigation planning grant, we traditionally appoint someone in the Department of Public Safety to be the authorized signer on our behalf. That is Scott Rose this time? Yes.
Correct.
So the designation of agent resolution is before you, asking that Scott Rose be named the authorized signer. Anything you wanted to add?
Just that in the past, that was a general fund contribution. We're doing our plan 1 year early, and we're at $80,000 that we're gonna get through a state program that's gonna take care of our hazard mitigation plan for us.
Beautiful. Do it a little early, but that means we won't have to pay too much
Yeah.
for anything. Fantastic. Any questions? Hearing none, ask for a motion to designate Scott Rose as authorized signer.
I will designate Scott Rose as an authorized signer of the hazard mitigation planning grant.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have several reappointments. Letter here from Dan Glotz lists Todd Hendricks for the Warren County Planning Commission for another 4-year term beginning January 1st, 2022, extending through the end of 2025. Second, please reappoint Dennis A. Johnson to the Warren County Zoning Hearing Board for another 5-year term beginning January 1st, 2022, expiring at the end of 2026. And third, a reappointment of Pam Matve to the Warren County Redevelopment Authority for a 5-year term beginning January 1st, 2022, and expiring at the end of 2026. I hear a motion to make those appointments.
I will make a motion to make those appointments.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations to the appointees. Next, I'll turn to Attorney Schmidt to explain Resolution 3196.
Yeah, I was wondering if the commissioners would want a brief executive session. This is a complicated piece of litigation, and I could go on at length, but I want to make sure that the commissioners are aware of the current status of things and keep county business straightforward.
Why don't I move this to the end of the agenda so that anyone else that's here that doesn't want to stick around for the opioid settlement could leave. I'll come back to that. Award of the sale of the 2002 ATV from our Monday work session. Pam, did you want to explain the status on that?
When the ad is put in the paper, it also says that the commissioners have the opportunity to reject any and all bids. For the reason, we had some questions, and in talking to Solicitor Schmidt, we found out that the process wasn't done properly. Therefore, we're not going to award anything. And then we'll look further as to how we'll handle the sale of these items.
Okay.
Very well. No motion necessary. Director McCorson, Motorola's annual radio maintenance agreements.
Sure, so this agreement is something that we have for preventative maintenance on our radio equipment at our tower sites. It's a year, we do it 1 year at a time, year to year. Our current vendor is Capital Area Communications. There was no increase in charges for 2022 moving forward.
Okay. Any questions? I have a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the radio system maintenance agreement.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Certification of the 2022 county funds for farmland preservation. For that, I would like to call upon Gilbert.
So I'll go back to the Clean and Green program, which I'm sure everyone here is pretty much aware of, but basically the Clean and Green program is a program for property owners that base their property taxes on use values rather than fair market values, which ends up as a result as a savings in our tax bill. Now, if that program is violated, where they sell a portion of the property or do something to the property, then that owner is subject to 7 years of rollback taxes at 6% interest per year. So I get the information from Brian Bull, he does the calculations, he gives me the violations for the 7 years. I put it in the system, and then that gets billed to the violator, we'll say.
And you make a new friend.
Yeah, right. I'll make right in the tax claim. But, so that interest portion goes to the farmland preservation. So I imagine they use that for rehab, or I'm not entirely sure what they use the interest for, but it would go to them, and that's how that works.
Okay, that's unrestricted money at that point. Okay. The certification would be $1,518.
And that's just the interest that we received this year.
All right. Do you hear a motion to approve the certification of county funds for the 2020 year program?
I will make that motion.
A second.
Made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you very much. Adoption of the 2022 budget. Lisa.
We have a budget that is balanced. It's at $20,843,789. We do not have any tax increases. Our health insurance remained the same for 2022. We took into consideration that there were some tax appeals, so we do have some areas, the tax revenue is a little less, but we budgeted for some funds or departments that hadn't previously been budgeted, which is why you see the difference from prior year. So I'm excited that my first budget season went pretty smoothly, at least I feel it did. So we'll see as the year goes on.
Yeah. We're very grateful for you.
Yeah.
Any questions? It's been properly posted for the 21 some days, more than that, so can't think of any reason we can't approve it right now. I have a motion to approve the 2022 budget.
I would be happy to make a motion to approve the 2022 budget.
I'd be happy to second that.
Glad we're all happy. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
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 Carries. All right, this time we will recess for 5 minutes into executive session to discuss the opioid settlement agreement. Back from executive session. The reason for going into executive session was to seek legal counsel pertaining to the opioid settlement agreements in our packet, which are 3 parts in nature, correct? In order to
Correct.
give us a overview of the agreement, I turn it over to Attorney Schmidt.
So, as the commissioners are aware, there's been multi-district federal litigation in regard to opioid use against the manufacturers and distributors of opioids. Some of the major entities have entered into bankruptcy, and there's been settlement discussions that have, lengthy discussions that have ensued in those courts. We were presented, the county was presented with a plan several months ago with provisions for municipality subdivisions to end up receiving funds over a course of a 3-year period. There's multiple timelines that are related to this settlement because it's not completely finalized, and the actual accomplishment of the settlement is not guaranteed unless a certain majority percentage of subdivisions actually sign on and approve the settlement. So that's really what's before the commissioners today. There was a bit of a wrench thrown into the works last week when a federal judge indicated that they were not going to approve the Janssen settlement in so much as it, the distributor lawsuit. Yeah, not the Janssen, in so much that it purported to release the Sackler family. That decision has gone up on appeal. In the meantime, Warren County, like some other subdivisions, is faced with the question about whether or not to proceed and indicate approval of the terms as they've been presented to them already. I spent some time in executive session going over some possible contingencies and risks that at least need to be advised of in approving this settlement, but CCAP did provide some information where they encouraged the counties to proceed as if to indicate their approval of the terms as they've been presented. And that's what ultimately my recommendation here is, to have the county sign this resolution, approve the terms of the agreement, and wait and see how the appellate litigation settles out, hopefully to bring the matter to a close. So my understanding is that Warren County is, under the terms of this agreement, due to receive about $970,000 to be distributed over a 3-year period. And then some supporting documentation has been included in the commissioner's packet. So
The primary use of those funds would be related to drug and alcohol rehabilitation and such. Correct?
that's correct. This is funds that have a designated set of purposes that are essentially forward-looking in terms of prevention and treatment, not necessarily for remediation of past harms. But this is, it hasn't been without some level of contest, and it's just because the county signs this agreement today or votes to approve it, it's not a done deal. There's been other subdivisions, major subdivisions in Pennsylvania, that have initiated their own separate litigation in regard to these, and based on the percentage of population by subdivision in the state, if those parties aren't brought on board, there remains a significant possibility that the settlement won't be approved. So this is Warren County doing in small part to indicate its acceptance of the terms of settlement, and then wait and see what happens.
All right, the resolution for us is 3,196. The substance of it authorizes me as chair to settle and release Warren County's claims against the settling defendants in exchange for consideration set forth in the settlement agreements and trust agreement, including taking the following measures. we could possibly strike this first one, is what I was going to pose to you. The execution of the participation agreement to the distributor's settlement agreement and any and all documents ancillary thereto. Second, the execution of the participation agreement to the Janssen settlement agreement and any and all documents ancillary thereto. 3, the execution of the memorandum of understanding agreeing to the allocations to the county abatement and litigation subdivision accounts, agreeing to the beneficiary of the trust under the terms set forth in the trust. Proposed Pennsylvania opioid misuse and addiction abatement trust by executing the signature pages to that trust agreement.
I mean, at this point in time, it seems like a close call. I'm not going to recommend any edits to the resolution.
Okay.
And I assume that's, was the advice that CCAP gave. Any change to this document is going to highlight an errata that makes Warren County not line up with the other documents they have, and may not be considered a valid settlement if the actual agreement is approved on appeal. So we're taking a calculated risk that ultimately the terms of settlement will be approved on appeal, and that's in the best interest of the county. And if ultimately the terms of settlement are not approved on appeal, and the federal courts make new bankruptcy case law, then it would be the option of Warren County, like every other municipality, to decide whether they wanted to seek legal action against the parties that weren't released or would have been released as a result of this litigation.
Very good.
Okay.
Any questions from the board?
Here.
Due to the uniqueness of the scenario, I'd also ask if there's any questions from the public.
Just one. Who are the settling defendants? What companies are involved? We mentioned Janssen. I know there are other potential settlements out there.
McKesson Corporation, Cardinal Health Inc., Amerisource Burger Corporation, Johnson & Johnson, Janssen Pharmaceuticals Inc., Ortho McNeil Janssen Pharmaceuticals Inc., Janssen Pharmaceutica Inc.
How about I
believe that's it.
hand you the cover page?
All right.
Does he have a copy of the agenda?
Why don't you have just the entire?
That's really a big part of what this appeal is about, whether you researched it or not. The idea is that the Janssen release purports to release the Sackler family, who is not neither a debtor in bankruptcy proceedings and not a creditor, but the parties are purporting to sign releases against these parties. And while this has been done in the past in other bankruptcy proceedings, it's generally a gray area because the parties are settling matters that aren't directly before the court. So that's what we will see how the appellate court decides to weigh in.
Thank you.
Anything else? I would ask for a motion to approve Resolution 3196.
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 3196.
A second.
Motion made and properly seconded. Any discussion from the board?
I just say that this is a proper development considering the circumstances, and I hope that that everyone figures out a way to get it through, and that we can utilize this funding for a positive purpose with a very difficult situation.
Good. All those in favor of approving Resolution 3196, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, a few quick closing comments. First of all, Conservation District Board met last night, and we'll be swearing in the people we approved in the last meeting. The next one, we approved the budget for them. It's pretty much the same as last year, no surprises. Number two, involved at this point is soft opened, so if anybody is looking for space, contact me or Phil. Number three, the EMS response plan. Ken, did you want to just give a quick update rather than coming from me?
So of the ambulance services in the county, about half of them have signed on to the plan, and the rest of them are still reviewing the plan and meeting with their bodies of membership to see if they're going to sign on to the collaborative EMS response plan. In Erie County, they met on that last week, and their agencies are in the process of signing up to that plan as well.
So this is important for us because, first of all, our hope is that by copying the Erie County plan essentially, or buying into it along with Crawford, we'll have, it's not going to fix the EMS crisis, but our hope would be that it at least helps mitigate it and helps us plan. But it also has a component where Erie, Crawford, and Warren would share an employee. It'd be approximately $8,000 for Warren County's contribution. I think it was something like 18 or 20,000 for Crawford County, and then 60 some for Erie County. It's proportional based on population. And the purpose of that employee would essentially be to administer the plan. One of the problems that we have with our current EMS plan is that there is no clear owner of it. The COG Fire Services kind of serves in a way to get it going, but they don't have any teeth to enforce it. The Department of Health has backed away from it, and West has backed away from it. In short, there are no teeth. So having the majority of our EMS agencies in the county basically sign on and say, we adopt this plan and we sort of cede some authority to the shared employee to help us hold our feet to the fire, I think is a good step in the right direction. And the $8,000 it would cost, which is ARPA eligible, and we've talked about in the previous work session, is a small price to pay to administer that plan. And by the way, it's similar to some of the other things that we subcontract to Erie County. Ken, I know like your office has several things you sub out to them, right?
Through the task force, we have some shared employees that work at Erie County but provide services to the surrounding task force region.
All right, last update for me, I think it's important to bring to the public. Pima came into Warren County's hazmat team and did an audit several weeks ago, if not a couple months ago at this point. Rob Moore from Pima recently sent us an email basically listing the deficiencies within our hazmat team. In some areas I think we were underperforming, in other areas we were operating outside the scope of what we were authorized to do. Therefore, I think it's DPS's recommendation at this point that we really have a hard think on what the new scope is going to be. I think we may have announced already that we were going for a tier 2 or 3.
An operations level, I
Operations
believe it's
level.
level, don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I want to say it's
I
tier
want to say
3.
it's level 2.
No, okay. But either way, the point is, we should not be operating at a technician level. We should be in an operations level, essentially supporting the fire departments in what they should be qualified to do. So that probably means paring some things back, actually, which is a good thing, but doing them well. So that will be on the horizon. First quarter of next year, we need to get this reined in so that by the time Pima comes back in, let's say, a year, we are not getting derogatory remarks.
The shortfalls were in like medical monitoring, long-term medical monitoring of the staff and things of that nature that weren't in progress at this point. So.
Any other commissioner comments? All right, hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
We're adjourned. Merry Christmas. Thank you for coming, staying this long meeting.
Christmas.